Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out of this world story from rSpace. Fiancé planted a tracker on me. Me, male 29, and my fiancé, female 29, have been together for 6 years, engaged 2. Our relationship is great and I love her, but I found a tracker, tile, in my bag, and when I checked whose phone it was connected to, it was hers. I have this bag in my car pretty much always. The only reason I found this tracker was because I decided to wash my bag. The underside of the bag was slit open, tracker placed and sewed back. It was also where there was foam, so I couldn't feel it every day. I did confront her about this and she started crying and admitted to it. She said she put it there 3 to 4 months into the relationship, but has not checked it in 4 years. I asked her for her phone and the Tile app was in recents. According to her, she never clears her recents, so it's probably from 4 years ago, which honestly is impossible for me to buy. Right now, I don't know what to do. We have our wedding in a week, but I don't think I'm ready to marry her now. All these years, she only trusted me because she knew where I was and not because she actually trusted me. I will tell her that we need to postpone the wedding, but I don't think I want to marry her at all now. How should I go about this? I was confused and really hurt at the moment, so I had no clue what to do. Update. I thought I'd update regarding what happened afterwards. I did try to fix things with her, but the only response I got was we can do it after we're married. I suggested couples counseling and individual therapy for both of us to move past this, and she agreed to both of these, but still wanted to get married this week. The only 2 options she gave me were that we get married as planned and fix things moving forward, or we break up. Well, I chose the latter because I'm not in an emotional state to get married. As for all the deposits, I ain't getting back crap. Her parents are paying for about 30% and the rest was me, so that's quite a bummer for both of us. Since I belong from the UK and she from Pakistan, and both of us work and live here in the States, we were flying most of our guests from our respective countries and had hotel bookings for them. As per the airline and the hotel, so close to the date, we are not entitled to a refund. To be honest, sucks to be me right now. But for all the guests, this is going to be a good vacation. I've decided not to cancel anything and the wedding is just going to be a party now, and the whole trip will be an all-paid vacation for the guests. Honestly, I could use some family right now myself. The day I made my OG post, I was pretty down and honestly got drunk and passed out. When I woke up, Mod had already removed the post because it reached its limits or something. Nevertheless, thanks to everyone that commented because reading the replies validated my feelings that I had the right to. Time for some comments. Bulmus Panties says, "For what it's worth, I'm kind of impressed that you went from a seemingly inevitable fate of ending up locked in this chick's basement for the rest of your life to being a free man again and making the most of a canceled wedding. I'm sorry for what you're going through, brother. At the same time though, 1 week before the world was to never hear from you again. You didn't dodge a bullet. You escaped the radius and fallout of a freaking hydrogen bomb." Next comment comes from a fluffy duckling. "Costly, but I think you've probably made the right choice. There's a very good chance that she's got some pretty deep-seated issues, not just to go to such lengths to track you, but after years of doing nothing wrong, she still continued to replace recharged tiles and track you. Good luck with the party. Try not to drink too much." Next comment from Desert Fairy. "Just read your original post and the update. I want to start with, I think you made the right choice for you. Without trust, you don't have a relationship, and you can't marry someone who fails to communicate and who frankly fails to respect boundaries. I'm sitting on the fence about the tracking though, and I think I've finally realized where the issue is. For me, I want my husband to be able to track me and vice versa. I get frequent migraines, and if they happen while I'm out of the house, he being able to find me with a GPS means he can rescue me from the side of the road, which has in fact happened. But this is an agreed upon boundary. We both have consented to being tracked, and we have clear boundaries on when it is appropriate to seek out the other's location. Your ex failed to communicate what she was doing, failed to gain your consent, and in doing so, failed to respect the boundaries of your autonomy. As I said, I think this is the best decision for you." Moving on to the next story. Fiancé cheated and I don't know how to confront him. With update. Well, it finally happened. I apologize in advance for the formatting. I'm on mobile and I haven't slept. Me and my fiancé, mid-20s, have been together for almost a decade. We got engaged last year. By most standards, we have one of the most healthy relationships you could have. We communicate, collaborate, and support. No real arguments. I feel like it doesn't need to be added in, but I'm going to just for context. The last year has whooped my butt, which is why I wasn't worried at first. The past few weeks, I have not been able to sleep and my anxiety has been through the roof, which isn't too out of the normal for me, but everything was combined with a new feeling of distrust. I couldn't pinpoint it for the longest time, and I think partially it was because I never expected he was cheating. Last night, it was like I just knew. I logged onto his social accounts and found several messages of him talking to girls. Most of the messages went unanswered, and it looked like they were all sent on the same night, July 29th. Just for more information, the messages were basically him reaching out to people via Instagram saying, "You're so pretty," etc., etc. And like I said, the girls never answered. However, on Snapchat, he has been going back and forth with a girl who is friends with our neighbors. He sent a video to her at 3 a.m. last night, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it wasn't anything innocent. Back to the issue. He works 13-hour shifts overnight. I don't know when to bring this up to him. He's handling heavy machinery at work, and I don't think it's fair to his coworkers to distract him or drop the bomb during lunch or before work. Do I wait until the weekend? My heart is breaking, and I absolutely should not be sitting here worried about how I deliver the news to him. But here we are. That is just who I am, I guess. If you read this far, thank you so much. Any advice is appreciated. Ask for advice, you know you're going to get it. Neon Saber starts us off. Pack your bags, go somewhere safe where you have support, family and friends. Get a record if you can, screenshots, something. Leave a note when you leave, laying it out. The OP responds, solid advice. I'm going to start by going to get ice cream with my dad because that just feels like the next logical step to me. His work schedule does give me time to get everything together, which I am oddly thankful for. North Advisor 4853 says, if you guys share any accounts, bank and whatnot, either empty them or take your share because being someone on the other end, I confronted him and later our accounts were empty and apparently all I was told was, you could have done the same thing by legals. Make sure you set up safe. So if they turn on you, you're not left out to dry with empty accounts. Grown Alone says, if I were you, I would pack a to-go bag and have him come home to an empty house. Leave a note and tell him you know. Don't answer your phone and leave him to stew and worry about the relationship. First and foremost, you'll need time to process everything. One more comment before the update. Feed Arachnids As I Die says, hey, just want to add that in pretty much every state, engagement rings are considered conditional gifts, and by law, have to be given back to your fiancé regardless of who broke the engagement and for what reason, if he asks for it back. The condition that needs to be met for you to keep the ring is actually getting married. This won't really matter if he doesn't want the ring back or doesn't ask for it back, but if he does want it back, he can take you to court for it, and generally the courts would rule that you have to return the ring or give him back the value of the ring, even if he's at fault for the dissolution of your relationship or engagement. Just something to think about before you try to sell it. Again, nothing will happen if he doesn't want it back, but he will have legal recourse to come after you in court if he does want it back. Okay, time for the update. Hi everyone. Wow, I did not expect all of these comments. First, I want to thank you all for listening, responding, sharing your stories, and giving advice. I really don't have many close friends, and I don't have any friendships really where support goes both ways. So when I say thank you, I really mean it. Anyways, I got ice cream and talked to my dad yesterday. I showed him this thread, and he said thank you as well. We talked some things through, and I got back to the house and slept finally, which is why I stopped answering comments. So this update is going to be long, but I'm going to try and answer a lot of the questions I saw. 1. Housing. We do in fact live together. We have an apartment that is in both of our names, but the lease is up in October. His parents have a guest house kind of thing connected to their garage though, and they live closer to his job. I'm confident that when we do talk about things, he won't argue about staying there. 2. The bank account ring. I did make an offhand comment about selling the ring, but I would never do this without permission, no matter how mad I am, and it's a lot less mad and a lot more disappointing. I could never take money that wasn't mine from the account either. When the time comes, we will split the accounts according to the ledger that I have kept. Too much time working in the bank. I'm really particular about my accounts. 3. What am I going to do? How did he take it? For now, I'm not going to do anything. I am still processing everything and I'm taking time to care for myself. A few commenters brought this up and I really appreciated it because it made me slow down. It is actually not weird during the work week for him and I to not really see each other or talk in depth, like 30 minutes before I leave in the morning and maybe 45 at night, so he still doesn't know anything. I know that probably seems weird, but I need to have more time to get all my ducks in a row, and this is perfect. Then, I will sit down with him, and I'm going to tell him what I know. I'll tell him we are splitting up, and we will talk about the important things like the housing, finances, and family. Then I will start my new adventure. I'm going to try and answer some comments that I want to add more info on. And again, thank you all so much. And we got time for one more quick story. My wife still believes she is a lesbian after 23 years of marriage. My wife and I started dating as teens in the 80s. Yes, I am old. One day she came out to me as a lesbian. I thought that meant we were breaking up, but she tells me that doesn't change the fact that she's in love with me and attracted to me. I didn't know that much about LGBT, but I told her I think she's bisexual. She told me no, she's a lesbian. Just a Kinsey scale 5 likely. I am her exception, and if we were ever to break up, she would begin dating females. This bothered me a little, but it ended up meaning basically nothing. We were still in a relationship and the topic did not come up very often. We ended up getting married and having 3 amazing children. This has become more of an issue as years pass, as my wife has a Facebook and Twitter account and will comment on LGBT issues as a lesbian. Other family members, including my mother, have asked me to elaborate. I asked my wife to please stop calling herself a lesbian, and she tells me it makes no difference to our relationship, and she needs space to speak her truth. A recent concern has been our daughter. Our daughter has seen this behavior, and she personally disagrees with it as well. She was born our son and transitioned to our daughter, and went from being a gay male to a straight female. Please excuse me if I made any mistakes. She pointed out to her mother that she's not only disrespecting me, but the entire LGBT community by claiming to be something she just is not. My wife says our daughter is not a lesbian and can't make calls on behalf of all LGBT. They now avoid this subject with each other. I have known about this subreddit for a while, but recently she requested to go to a gay bar together at some point, and I'm having enough. We are very happy together though. This is just an annoyance. How do I explain that this is disrespectful to me without her becoming defensive? Let's get some answers from the community. Basic Butch starts us off. A Kinsey 5 is still bisexual, and everyone I've heard swear up and down that a guy they were with was the exception went on to have more exceptions in the future. It always baffles me that they seem ashamed of their attraction to men. There's nothing wrong with being bisexual, and bisexuality does not necessarily mean having a 50-50 split in attraction. If your wife is sexually and romantically attracted to you as she claims, she is not a lesbian, and it is very strange that she feels the need to claim that label over one that accurately describes how she, by her own admission, experiences attraction. Our next comment comes from D4N4SCU11YXX. I'm a bi woman and I agree with this. I wonder if OP's wife has internalized some biphobic ideas and isn't comfortable IDing as bi or doesn't realize that's what her attraction indicates. A lot of people don't get that bi folks can be primarily attracted to one gender, and that type of attraction doesn't mean they're actually gay or straight. I don't know. I know OP says his wife won't go to therapy, but I wonder if it might help to find a queer affirming therapist. That's a thing you can search for. Someone who is explicitly affirming and interested in working with LGBT plus patients might appeal to the wife and also be helpful to OP. Edit. I will say, I don't think it's weird the wife wants to go to a gay bar. As a queer person, it's nice to have queer friends, and a lot of areas don't have LGBT events that don't center around gay bars. If OP City has an LGBT center though, that could be a good place to meet other queer people rather than going to a bar. There might also be meetup groups for queer women and people that the wife could look into. Our last comment comes from JKJ Wissa. I identified as a lesbian for most of my life, but now am engaged to a man. And the term I prefer to use is queer because we as a community should stick together and not invalidate each other. Identifying as a lesbian when you're with a man is offensive to lesbians. Maybe she feels like bisexual isn't the right word, but then she needs to find the one that fits. Lesbian ain't it. Maybe she feels like she was cheated of those experiences. Maybe she wants to spend time with an LGBTQ plus space, but she isn't going about it correctly. I recommend therapy, specifically with a therapist that specializes in LGBTQ+, or identity-based struggles. She needs help navigating this.